Okay, so for week 10 this week, you've got a couple of tasks. One is to finish Unit 3. The last lesson in Unit 3 talks about citing your sources. What does that mean? It means when you take information from somewhere other than your brain, you have to give credit where credit is due. And in English essays, junior college, universities, anywhere, high school, it doesn't matter. There's a certain format that you have to follow, and it's called MLA. And so the last lesson talks about MLA, and slides 57 through 62 do a great job of explaining how you cite your sources, meaning how do you give credit where credit is due when you pull information from a website or an article or a book or YouTube video, it doesn't matter. And so you wrote your Hiroshima, your creating evidence handout, and you pulled information from articles or from the book. And so when you write your paper and you build your body paragraphs and you use that evidence, you have to cite it in a certain specific format. And so in the lesson, it explains how to do that. So it's really important that you finish out Unit 3 this week, particularly paying attention to slides 57 through 62 and taking notes on that. That information will transfer when you go to write your Hiroshima paper, which you're going to work on over break, and it's not going to be due until we come back from spring break, because I want to give you guys some time to finish out the unit, get the citing evidence worksheet done correctly, and then spend some time writing the draft. Okay, so take notes on those slides. When you go to write it, I've put in some tools in the English 10 website that I want you to utilize. It'll make your life easier, and it'll model the correct formatting for citing evidence. So in English 10, in week 10, let's flip there real quick. There's going to be, all the way at the bottom, a secondary video that I talk about how do you use the MyBib extension from Chrome, and then how to cite the sources that you're going to use. Okay, so when you get to that point in writing your paper, you're going to go back to that. Before you even get that far, let's talk about writing your paper. Okay, there is this handout in here called Persuasive Essay, and it looks like this. And so I'm going to talk about it for a little bit. It talks about what is a good introduction. How do you write your body paragraphs? How do you include evidence from outside sources, and how you explain that evidence to build those body paragraphs? How you write a conclusion. So please, 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 before you ever start writing your paper, I want you to go through this handout. I would print it, I would mark on it, I would underline it, so you get a clear idea of how to write those paragraphs effectively, okay? And don't worry about the correct citation when you're writing the rough draft. You can just put the quote in and put number 1 if it came from article number 1, or number 2 if it came from website number 2, however you want to do it, so you know where they came from. Then you can go back later and worry about the citation, okay? So this persuasive essay handout is important to you. The next document that it's in here that I want you to pay attention to, let me get out of that, is this handout right here. And it starts with key elements. Okay, so back to the AZM2. The very first thing you're going to do is write an essay. And closer to the test, I will give you some very specific strategies about when you go to take the writing test, but to blend what you're doing with your Hiroshima essay and the AZM2, I want you to look at these documents. These are the rubrics that they use to score your essay. And so I want you to look at those and see what elements they're looking at and what a 4 looks like. So 4 is the highest score. You want to get a 3 or 4 on it, okay? What does a 4 look like? And as you write your paper, and when you're done, go back to that rubric and go, okay, on this criteria, did I do this? On this criteria, does my paper have this? Well, if I'm not sure, let me go back and evaluate it. So this is a self-evaluation. It's obviously not something that I'm going to observe and see that you do, but you should do it because it will make for a better paper and demonstrate the skill set that you have for writing effective essays. So that's the second handout that I want you to look at. Again, this is going to be work that you're either going to do this week if you're ahead, or next week over break when you have some time to sit down and think about this stuff. The last thing that I want you to do is look at the AZM2, what do I want to call it? The scoring criteria. So I'm going to flip to show you this. In the, let's see if I can find it. In the AZM2 website, you can log on there as a student, okay? And it'll talk to you about the different things that you can do. And there is an AZM2 sample test scoring guide, grade 10 ELA. And it gives you, this link right here, gives you sample essays, exemplar essays, good essays that passed, and then poorly written essays. And you can go through and you can see the format of what the question looks like and the general rubrics, which the one I want you guys to use is a little bit more specific, okay? And then at the very bottom, keep going, it'll give you how they scored it. Why did it get a 4 out of 4? Why did it get a 3 out of 4? So they give you examples of what makes a decent paragraph. They give you examples of what they're looking for in-text citations for when you write your AZM2 essay. And I'll get more specific into that right before the test so it's fresh in your brain. But if you want to look ahead, if you want to spend some time studying it, it's there for you, okay? So this week, you're going to finish Unit 3. You're going to take notes on 57 through 62, slides 57 through 62. You're going to make sure you have that evidence worksheet completed, checked in with me, and I'm going to give it back to you. And the last thing is there is a CFA, and a CFA is those quarterly benchmarks that we need to have you do, and it's on General MacArthur's speech about the bombing of Hiroshima, so it's relevant to what we've been doing. You're going to sign in with your Google, school Google account. The code for the test is in the English 10 website. So you're going to put your code in, you're going to take it, you'll submit it. Then just email me when you've submitted it so that I can go back and check your data and see what skills you were strong in and what skills you still need to work on. Okay, so that will take care of week 10.